Children, so today let us see parallelogram law of vector addition. That is, how can two vectors be added? Anyway, we have seen in the first part of this lesson that we cannot add two vectors just like you add pure numbers, or it doesn't follow algebraic law of vector addition or algebraic method of vector of addition. It actually follows some other rule which is known as the parallelogram. It is otherwise added by using parallelogram law of vector addition or triangular method of vector addition. So rather you can say that it follows some other kind or geometrical way of adding two vectors, or directly you cannot add them for the fact that they have magnitude as well as direction. So when you add two vectors, you have to consider its direction as well. So it is our real life experience that when two forces act in particular directions, that is in two different directions, the resultant force or the resultant of this force will be in a particular direction. That is, suppose in the case of tug of war, we know that there are two teams on either side of the rope, which is who are trying to pull with maximum strength. So it is an experience that the team who uses more force, they tend to win the competition. So in the same way, these are actually vectors which act in a particular direction. So suppose if you are trying to push a box in a particular direction, somebody comes to your help and he also tries to push it in the same direction, then it becomes more easier for you. So there also two vectors are getting added, and addition of vectors or subtraction of vectors, you have innumerable examples in daily life. Say for example of the flight of a bird. The bird using its wings actually pushes the air downward, but the bird wants to rise up. So the resultant of this force acts in a particular direction, and the reaction force, that is as per Newton's third law, the reaction force acts in a particular direction of these two forces will act in a particular direction, which helps to lift the bird in the upward direction. So there are innumerable or various examples we can relate with the addition of vectors or subtraction of vectors, or you can say combination of vectors. So let us see what parallelogram law of vector addition is. Suppose if A and B are two vectors such that they meet at a point, at a common point here, say O, and theta is the angle between A and B, then according to parallelogram law of vector addition, these two vectors acting in these two different directions will produce an effect in a new direction, which is actually obtained by completing this parallelogram by drawing parallel sides parallel to the vector B, parallel to the vector A. You complete the parallelogram, and the diagonal of this vector will actually give you the resultant of the vector. We don't say the sum of vector, we call it as a resultant, because the resultant itself is another vector which actually produces the effect of the combined effect of the two vectors. When they are combined together, it produces the same effect as the combination of these vectors. So we can represent the resultant as R is equal to A plus B. So you can see that it is a longer line which shows that when you add this vector, it can be in such a way that their magnitude gets added up in certain way, and it points in a different direction. Now, in order to, this actually represents the addition of two vectors, but this doesn't mean that we can add the vectors directly. We have to follow an equation for its magnitude as well as direction. So the equation for its magnitude is R is equal to root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta, where theta is the angle between A and B. So with this equation, either you can write it as modulus of R, or you can also write it as R is equal to. So this expression will give you easily the magnitude of the resultant. What is A and B? A and B are the magnitude of the vectors vector A and vector B respectively. Theta is the angle between them. And how will you go for the direction of the vector? So for the direction, we can have an angle, specify an angle. Usually direction is specified in terms of angle. So let alpha be the angle the resultant makes with A. then tan alpha is equal to b sin theta divided by a plus b cos theta. So this is the expression for finding out the direction with which the resultant is shifted or deviated from one of the vectors, say A. If it is with respect to B, then we can write the inverse of this. Say if it is beta, then we can write it as tan beta is equal to, instead of B sin theta, we have to write A sin theta divided by A plus B, B plus A cos theta. That is, wherever you have B, you have to substitute for A, and that is, you have to flip or swap the positions of A and B. Then you will get the expression for tan beta, which is the angle made by the resultant with respect to the other vector, that is the second vector. Now this is the expression for the magnitude, and this is the expression for its direction. Now using this, we can find the sum of the two vectors. And suppose if you want to find out the subtraction of two vectors, that is, what will be the subtraction of two vectors? How do you arrive at the subtraction of two vectors? So when you consider this parallelogram, the longer diagonal represents its sum, and the shorter diagonal will represent its subtraction, that is its difference. So if this is R1, then we can write this as R2 is equal to A minus B. Okay, so R2 is equal to A minus B, vector A minus vector B, and the magnitude of R2 is given by root of A square plus B square minus 2AB cos theta. Okay, and the direction is given by tan alpha is equal to B sin theta divided by A minus B cos theta. So in this way, you can also find out the difference of the two vectors by parallelogram law of vector addition. Actually, parallelogram law of vector addition and triangular law are equivalent. They are we can show that they are equivalent by slightly shifting the vector from one position to another. Then this exactly becomes the triangular law as well, because if you have this as vector A, if you shift the vector till it touches the tip of A, so that exactly becomes the triangular law. So this actually gives you the triangular law of vector addition, which is equivalent to the parallelogram law even. But the resultant, for calculating the resultant and direction, you can go for the formulae which we have already discussed here. So as I told you, real life application of addition of vectors, you can consider the flight of a bird as a real life application of vector addition. So you consider a bird which is trying to fly. What happens is it pushes the air downward with forces F1 and F2 using its wings. Okay, and these two forces, when you extend it, they have a common meeting point here, and as per Newton's third law, there is an equal and opposite reaction of the air, which is known as the reaction force. Let us name it as R1 and R2, which acts in these two different directions. As the air is pushed downward, there is an equal and opposite force, reaction force happening in air, which is trying to push the air upward in the opposite direction, which is known as which is the reaction force R1 and R2. Now these two reaction forces have two different directions. So when you complete the parallelogram, you can have the net or the resultant force acting in this direction, now in the upward direction, which will help the bird to lift off easily. So this is an application of addition of vectors. So we have several application of vectors where you apply force in a particular direction. The reaction force actually pushes in a different direction, which actually causes motion in a particular direction, or it can even oppose the motion in that particular direction. So application of brakes, or the motion, the lifting of aircraft, lifting of flight, or movement of a person. All these are, you can also consider the motion of a catapult or a sling. Catapult or a sling. This also works. Sling also works exactly by applying the principle of vector addition. That is, in the case of a sling, we have an elastic membrane here, which is connected to the Y-shaped thing, and when you pull it yourself or in a particular direction, what happens? The tension acts in the membrane, which acts in these two directions. That is, tension acts along the direction of the string or the elastic band in T1 and T2, but the combination of these vectors will happen in the third direction T. So whatever has to be short will move in this direction due to the combined action of the tension in the string. So again, the working of a catapult or a sling is also happens as a consequence of addition of two vectors. So next, let us see how to represent a vector in Cartesian coordinate system, or representation of a vector in Cartesian plane. So what do you mean by Cartesian plane? Cartesian plane is simply a plane where you have two axes, which is the x-axis and then a y-axis, which are perpendicular to each other. So these two axes are meet at a point which is known as the origin, and they are perpendicular to each other. So this is known as a Cartesian plane. Why it is known as a plane? Because it is two-dimensional. If you consider as a Cartesian space, Cartesian coordinate system, or a three-dimensional space, then you will have the third axis, which is the z-axis. Okay, so now we have the x-axis and y-axis. How to represent a vector in a Cartesian plane? Okay, or it is also known as rectangular coordinate system, because we have the axis perpendicular to each other. So suppose we have to locate this point P. Now, how will you locate a point P in a plane? What you have to do is, the position of P with respect to origin, we have to join a straight line from the origin to the point P, and that particular vector is known as the position vector. So we can identify this with a simple case. So that is why I'm telling you this simple example. So identify to locate a point P in Cartesian plane, you just have to from the origin till the point you have to draw a straight line that will represent a vector which is known as position vector. So position vector is a vector that joins the origin to a particular point. Okay, so let us mark it as R. So how to represent this R in Cartesian plane? So for that, what you have to do is, first you have to identify the point P. So it will have, in a plane, it will have an x-coordinate as well as y-coordinate. How will you find out the x-coordinate? Draw a imaginary line, a perpendicular line, such that it meets the x-axis. Then this distance will be x units. We are not specifying on what scale we have drawn this graph. So I'm just saying that it is x units. What about this? On the y-axis, how much does it occupy? So it is this length, that is from O to this point, it will be y. Okay, so this is x comma y, which represents the point P. Now, how to represent that particular x and y in terms of a vector? How to combine? So we know that this is a vector along, to make this distance a vector along x direction and make this distance a vector along y direction and add them both, then you will get the final vector, which is the resultant of these two vectors. So that is the idea behind it. So how to make this convert into a vector? So this is a simple number, pure number. So if it is on a graph, say this is 3 centimeters, then it will be only 3. It has only magnitude. How to assign a direction for that? For that, we require unit vector, help of unit vectors. So unit vector are vectors of unit magnitude. Unit magnitude means its magnitude is 1. In any scale, its magnitude is 1. If it is 1, it is in centimeter scale, it's 1 centimeter. If it is in meter scale, then it is 1 meter, and so on. So of unit magnitude and has a particular direction. So, the idea of unit vector is to specify or assign a particular direction for a particular physical quantity. Suppose you want to assign a direction, show a direction. So it has the role of only showing a direction. That is the idea of unit vector, because you know that multiplication by 1 will not change the magnitude of any number, isn't it? So that is why its magnitude is kept as 1, but it has a particular direction. So unit vector is of unit magnitude and has a particular direction. Its role is to specify a particular direction. So let us find the unit vectors along, or define the unit vectors along x-axis and y-axis. So for that, we name or put the notation as I cap or I hat. Cap or hat. You put an inverted V like this, then it is called cap or hat. Now, I cap is the unit vector along x direction, along x-axis, positive x-axis. Say, J cap is the unit vector along y-axis. So, we have specified two unit vectors whose magnitude is 1. So, I am just showing this. Suppose it is a graph. It is depicted on a graph sheet, then this will be 1 centimeter. So I can show it as I cap, and this will be 1 centimeter, and I can show it as J cap. So they are simply to represent a particular direction, showing that it is pointing in this direction and it points in this direction. Now we have I cap and J cap along x axis and y axis respectively. Now what is our next task? It is to multiply this x with I cap. What will happen if x is a scalar? If you multiply it with a vector, then this thing will become a vector, because we have learned that multiplication of a vector by a scalar will result in a vector. So x multiplied by I cap, what does that indicate? It indicates that it is a vector. Now this becomes a vector because it has a direction. X I cap is a vector which has x as magnitude and it points in the x direction. Now what you have, yj cap. Yj cap means y magnitude pointing in the y direction, because we have already specified I cap and j cap as pointing along x-axis and y-axis respectively. Now you have this vector and this vector. Now we have two vectors. Now we can easily add two vectors by applying parallelogram law of vector addition. This looks like a rectangle. So the diagonal points along the resultant. So the job is easy now. Now we can just put a symbol, plus symbol here, and you will get the position vector. So R is the position vector which can be specified in the Cartesian plane as x I cap plus y j cap. So as say for example, the position vector of a particle at initial position R is equal to 5 I cap plus 3 j cap. What does that indicate? It indicates that it is 5 units along the x-axis because it's multiplied by I cap, and 3 units along the y-axis. It can also happen in the negative y-axis and negative x-axis also. In that case, you will have -3 and -5 or -1, whatever. So these are two vectors and they are known as component of a vector. So these parts, when added together, they are known as the component of two vectors, and they combine to give a third vector. Now you can represent a position vector like this. R1 is equal to 5 I cap plus 3 j cap. Okay, now this suppose this is the initial position vector. Suppose I say that final position vector is represented by R2 is equal to 2 I cap plus j cap. So let this be the final position vector. So we can think of the case that in the same diagram or in the same Cartesian plane, you have one vector like this, another vector. It is not actually drawn to the scale. You can consider it R1 and this as R2. Now these are the two position vectors of any particle over a time interval delta t. Suppose it makes, that is, it has moved from initial point to a final point here. It can move in any manner. It can move this way, it can move this way, any manner it can move. But we are interested only in the displacement, that is a straight line that points from R1 to R2. That is known as the displacement vector. And how to get the displacement vector? We have already learned in motion along one dimension. Displacement of a particle is given by final position minus initial position. The same concept can be applied here. That is, you can represent the displacement vector as delta R. delta r, because it is the final position vector minus initial position vector. Displacement vector is also a vector. Delta means a change in position, so that is why I have represented delta r. It is the displacement vector. It can be written as r2. Final position vector is r2 minus r1. So you can see that in order to get the displacement vector, you have to subtract the initial position vector from the final position vector. Now, how to find out the difference of these two vectors if it is represented in Cartesian plane? The job is very, very easy. You can subtract the I component from the I component, or you can add the I component to the I component only. Also, you can add or subtract the j components together. You can never, even though it is represented as a combination, they are vectors. But when it comes to components, that is each part of a vector, when you have to make a subtraction or addition, then I has to go with I and j has to go with j. So let us try to find out what is the displacement vector. So first I am going to write the final position vector, 2i cap plus j cap minus, you have to put it in bracket, 5i cap plus 3j cap, isn't it? Now let us find it out. What is, as I told you, I cap can be subtracted from, or the I component can be subtracted from I component. So I can take I cap outside. It is 2 minus 5. And what is the j components minus? We have j, what is the, if it is j cap, simply written as j cap, it means that the scalar quantity is 1. It is 1 into j cap. So 1 minus 3 into j cap. So it is 2 minus 3 is minus 3 I cap. And what is 1 minus 3? It is minus 2. There is a minus negative sign outside. So minus of minus, it becomes plus 2 j cap. So this is the displacement vector. So this is the expression for the displacement vector, which again is a vector which has an I component and a j component. So which has two components which points along the x-axis and y-axis. So what we can infer from this is minus 3 units along I cap means it can be in the negative x direction. 2 units along the positive direction. So that is the displacement vector. That is how the displacement vector is represented. But this actually gives you the vector, displacement vector. It doesn't give you the direction or magnitude. In order to get the direction or magnitude, you have to go for this formula. In order to get the direction or magnitude, the magnitude of delta r is given by root of delta x square plus delta y square. So in the problem we have done it as 2i cap delta r. Okay, if you consider whatever, say for example, we can take another example. If we have 2i cap plus 4j cap is equal to delta r, we can consider a new case, or say minus 4 j cap. So in this case, what is delta r? If you want to find out the magnitude, what is the magnitude of delta r? You have to simply, this is of the form delta x I cap plus delta y j cap. So it is delta x square, so 2 square plus minus 4 square. So it will be 4 plus what is minus 4 square? 16. So it is root of 20. If the units is not specified, you can simply write it as root 20 units. So this is the magnitude of the displacement vector. And how will you get the direction of the displacement vector? And the direction is obtained by this formula. Direction tan theta, where theta is the angle between, suppose this is a vector. If this is a vector, a particular vector delta r, if theta is the angle between the x-axis and that particular vector, then tan theta is equal to delta y divided by delta x. So in this case, it will be minus 4 divided by 2. It is minus 2. Tan theta is equal to minus 2, and you can get it as theta is equal to tan inverse of minus 2. So we can go for the value by using the table. Find out the value of theta by using the table. So for any vector can be represented as r is equal to x I cap plus y j cap. You'll get the magnitude of this vector by Either you can write r or modulus of r, root of x square plus y square. If any vector is represented in Cartesian plane or rectangular coordinate system in this manner, r is equal to x I cap plus y j cap, then the magnitude of r is given by root of x square plus y square, and its direction is given by tan theta is equal to y by x, where y is the magnitude of the component y along the y-axis, and x is the magnitude along the x-axis. So this is the method to find out the magnitude and direction of any vector represented in Cartesian coordinate system. Now we can actually apply this concept of Cartesian coordinate system or representing a vector in Cartesian plane into resolution of vectors, in the idea of resolution of vectors. So first let me explain what resolution of vector is. Resolution of a vector means it is just the opposite of adding of two vectors, that is splitting vectors in different directions. So resolution of a vector is splitting a vector in different direction is known as resolution. It is just the opposite of combination of vectors. Okay. Suppose for that, let us find out the example. If A is a vector in this particular direction and B is another vector in this particular direction, we can actually extend A and B without shifting A or B in the plane. We can extend them by we can extend the vector by multiplying it with a scalar quantity or a number. So I'm going to extend A and extend B by multiplying A and B with any pure numbers. Say I have multiplied A with lambda. So I can write lambda A. I have multiplied B with mu, say mu into B. Now I have two vectors whose they meet at a particular point, whose ends meet at a particular point. Just like the triangular law of vector addition, we have two vectors meeting like this, and where the tip of one vector matches or touches the tail of the other vector. Now what will be the resultant of this? It will be a vector which starts from the first vector till the tip of the other vector. So you can represent it as r. So we can write r is equal to lambda A plus mu B. Now what I have done here is, keeping the vectors as such, I have extended the vectors to a particular in the same direction to by multiplying it with pure numbers, say lambda and mu. Mu and lambda are simple numbers with which you can multiply in order to extend the vectors, and find and represent the resultant which is in the third direction as r is equal to lambda A plus mu B. Now if you look at the right hand side, actually a vector can be split into two parts. Or you can say that when combining two vectors, you get a third vector. Or else the converse is also true. That is, a vector can be split into two different directions. So this idea can be applied in Cartesian plane. That is, how to resolve a vector into two different directions. So again, I'm going to draw the Cartesian plane, which consists of an x-axis and y-axis meeting at the origin O. Suppose I have a vector A. I'm going to split this vector into along x-axis and along y-axis. The idea is simply the same which I have explained already in the representation of position vector. Now, if from the tip of the vector A, if I draw a perpendicular line, then its magnitude, let us represent it as AX. It shows that AX is a pure number. Similarly, by drawing a perpendicular from the tip of the vector such that it meets the y-axis, let us represent this as AY. Now what are AY and AX? AY and AX are the magnitude or the magnitude along the y-axis and x-axis respectively. Now we can represent A in terms of AX and AY only when they become two vectors. So how to transform them into vectors? They are only scalars. How to transform them? Then we require the idea of unit vectors. So we have the help of unit vectors, I cap along x-axis, j cap along y-axis. Simply multiply AX with I cap and AY with j cap, you get two another vectors. So we can write AX I cap plus AY j cap. What will be that? When these two vectors form the sides of a parallelogram which looks like a rectangle, as it is a rectangular coordinate system or Cartesian plane, we can easily represent this as the diagonal of this rectangle, which represents the third vector. So now we have split this vector into two components. One is axi cap and the other is ayj cap. Now this component along the x-axis, is known as the parallel component, and this component along y-axis is known as the perpendicular component. I'll explain why they are known as parallel and perpendicular component. The reason is that suppose this A makes an angle theta with respect to the x-axis. That is the resultant A, or this vector we under our consideration, we have considered this vector A. It makes an angle theta I cap theta with respect to the x-axis. Then AX is along the x-axis. So that is why we call it as parallel component, because it is along. Parallel means it is along the x-axis. And why we consider this as the perpendicular component? Because it is perpendicular to the x-axis. It is along a direction which is perpendicular to the x-axis, that is along the y-axis. So this component is known as the parallel component, and this is known as the perpendicular component. So when you add them together, you will get the final vector, or you can split this final vector into two components, parallel component and perpendicular component. So from now on, we will be using these ideas, that is splitting of the vectors or combining two vectors as and when it is required, as this forms the basis of, or all the basis of the ideas behind vector addition or resolution of vectors, and this actually plays a very important role, or lays the foundation of vectors, of the study of vectors. Now let us see how to represent A in terms of, if you know AX and AY, what is the magnitude of A? That I have already written in the previous problem. That is, in order to find out, if you can write, if AX and AY is known, they are simply scalar quantities known. How to find out A? How to find out A means magnitude of A. A is equal to root of AX square plus AY square. Now, how to find out the direction of A? Direction of A is with respect to x-axis. So, if theta is the angle made by A with respect to x-axis, then tan theta, usually you represent a direction with respect to angle. So, tan theta is equal to, you can see that it is AY by AX. So, if you know AX and AY, to find out the magnitude of A, you have this formula. To find out the direction of A, you have this formula. So that is why we have discussed that in the case of position vectors. Suppose you have a velocity vector in this form. A velocity vector is represented as, its x component is say minus I cap plus 3j cap. Okay. So this shows that this is of the form Vxi cap plus Vyj cap. Now what are Vx and Vy? Vx is equal to minus 1 into I cap, and Vy is equal to 3, isn't it? So what is magnitude of V? Simply you can write it like this, or simply V is equal to root of Vx square plus Vy square. Okay, what is that? Vx square is minus 1 square plus 3 square. So that is equal to 1 plus 9, which is equal to root 10 units. This is how you find out the magnitude of this vector V when Vx and Vy are known. Now what is the direction? Tan theta is equal to Vy divided by Vx. What is Vy? Vy is 3 divided by minus 1 or minus 3. Or tan theta is equal to minus 3, or theta is equal to tan inverse of 3. Minus 3. So how to find out the value of angle? If you know the final value after dividing this ratio, is actually you have to seek the help of the trigonometric table for which gives you the trigonometric ratios. that will be discussed in another session. So as of now, you can write theta is equal to tan inverse of -3. So this is the case when ax and ay are given. You can find out a, magnitude of a from this. Now there is another method. Suppose the converse is given. What is converse? That is opposite of this is given. That is you are not given. You are given a and theta. What is a? Magnitude of, just the converse of this, magnitude of a. Okay, vector a, and theta, direction of a. How will you find out ax and ay? So the converse is also possible. That is how to find out ax and ay from a and theta. You just look at this figure, study it closely. You can see that theta is the angle made by a with respect to x-axis. Then what is ax? According to this right angle triangle, you can see this as theta, this as ax, and this as ay. Isn't it? If this is ay, this is also ay. Now, you can easily write ax, and this is a. Ax by a, that is adjacent side by hypotenuse, as cos theta, and ay by a as sin theta, isn't it? So what is ax? Ax is equal to a cos theta. What is ay? It is a sin theta. So easily you can identify ax, which is the parallel component, which I have told you just a few moments earlier, that this is known as the parallel component. Parallel component is obtained by multiplying the magnitude of the vector with cos theta, and perpendicular component is obtained by multiplying the magnitude of the vector with sin theta. It is from the geometry of this figure. So you can, if a and theta are known, how will you find out ax and ay? It is very simple. Ax is equal to a cos theta, ay is equal to a sin theta. This is another method. If a and theta are known, you can express the vector as by finding ax and ay, and finally you can represent it as ax I cap plus ay j cap. So much of detail or so much of formulae you have to memorize, and the ideas behind the resolution of a vector and addition of vectors. Actually, they are combined actions. Or you can say inverse operations. Addition of vector, its inverse operation is resolution of vector. Both actually imply the same concept. Here, one more thing we have to consider is actually resolution of vector also has a lot of applications in real life. Walking happens as a result of resolution of a vector. That is, we actually walk, move forward or backward is the application of resolution of vector. That is, when a person walks, he is with one leg, he is pushing the ground backward. With one leg, actually, the ground is pushed backward. Now, as per Newton's third law, the ground exerts, suppose this is the force which with which one of the leg is pushed backward, then the force, the reaction force which happens in the opposite direction, that is the force exerted by the ground on the foot. That is, one of the foot pushes the ground backward. That means in this direction, if it is pushed, that means the reaction force happens in the opposite direction, and we can resolve this reaction force into two components, that is with respect to the ground. One as one along the which one is along the ground and the other is along the perpendicular direction. Actually, the perpendicular component balances our weight because it acts in the opposite direction, and actually it happens in the opposite direction, while the parallel component will help you. It is in the forward direction, will help you move in the forward direction. So this happens as a resolution of vectors, that is pushing the ground with a particular force in the backward direction will have a reaction force which can be split into two different directions. One will help you move along the ground, and the vertical component or the perpendicular component. See, it is also known as vertical component. Perpendicular component, vertical component, both are same. So the vertical component or the perpendicular component of the reaction force, which actually will act along the direction of your body, will try to balance your body when you are walking. So this is the application of resolution of vectors.